Hey Guy, John Ellison here. Thank you so much for sharing your video about the carbon revolution. I think on many levels, you're absolutely right. We need to begin to tax fossil fuels and to remove fossil fuel subsidies immediately. But we also have to look from a systems perspective about the impact that that's going to have on society as a whole, especially the most vulnerable people in our society. If you could imagine the price of fuel going up radically over a short period of time, people who are on the lowest end of the socioeconomic spectrum are going to be hurt the worst. And if the protests in France a few years ago, the whole yellow jacket movement, was any indicator, I think there'll be a lot of unrest if everyday people driving to and fro to work can't afford to do so anymore. And so without a holistic approach, a policy framework that would implement other measures very aggressively alongside a carbon tax, I don't think it's a silver bullet. I don't think it's the only solution. And I've been really fascinated by this whole systems approach to the climate crisis because basically we have to do everything at the same time. We've got to tax fossil fuels, provide strict regulations to decarbonize all of society. We have to electrify the grid. We have to get, renewable, decentralized energy infrastructure everywhere. And we've got to sequester carbon as well. Because the science is clear that the amount that we have emitted already is so significant that we need to draw carbon out of the air to reduce the likelihood of a 2-degree centigrade warming scenario. And so I do actually think that a more sophisticated carbon market mechanism does play a role in addressing the climate crisis overall. But I think one of the key failures is that current carbon markets aren't tied to a carbon tax. And also the technology hasn't been deployed to provide the level of verification that's really required to put significant amounts of capital towards carbon offsets and carbon sequestration. But fortunately, there is this whole universe exploding right now at the intersection of Internet of Things and kind of aerial technology, remote sensing, cryptocurrencies, and climate action, believe it or not. And so if you're interested to hear more about what's happening at this intersection, I think there's a great merit for the whole world of climate activists, of permaculture and organic folks to understand what's happening in the tech space in terms of coordinating flows of money to address the climate crisis at scale, using a systems thinking perspective to mitigate the risks of people in the most vulnerable positions being hurt the worst. And so love to have a conversation with you and your team if you guys want to get more involved in this climate activist movement. I think there's great potential for Riverford and all of the organic consumer brands in general to play a more significant voice in this fight against climate change because we got to work together. So thanks again for sharing and hope to talk to you soon.